Okay, Maritza, this is for you. If anyone else finds it helpful, great. I'm not an expert, just someone who has read a bunch of instructions online and have been making yogurt for about a year. I was determined not to buy another appliance to make yogurt, and I've settled on the method I'm going to show you. I like it because I don't have to babysit it, and it doesn't use any electricity during the incubation process. It is for a small amount of yogurt, a little less than a quart, so if you need more, you might need to find another way. So, if it sounds like I'm reading from a script, I am. My last try at making this video was way too long, so this should help shorten it to a reasonable length. So here are the things you need to make yogurt. Oh, and by the way, the flowers are because someone gave us those beautiful flowers, so I thought I'd include them. So milk. I've only used cow's milk, but apparently you can make it from other kinds of milk, like coconut milk. I may try that sometime, but I'd need to do more research on it. You'll need a thermometer. This is a ThermoWorks thermometer that's been discontinued. If you don't have a thermometer, you can look online for methods to tell you when the milk is hot enough and cool enough. You need a starter. You can use a good quality store-bought whole milk yogurt like Fage or a dry yogurt starter. And the reason you want to use whole milk yogurt is because if you use yogurt as the starter is because it doesn't have any thickeners in it, like a non-fat or a low-fat yogurt might have in it, even if you use a skim or a 2% or whatever for your actual milk. You want to use a whole milk yogurt. So I've used that dry starter that you see, Yogurmet I think it's called, but I find the yogurt a little too sour for my taste. I'll probably use it again. So there's a lot of starters and a lot to learn about starters. I may change how I do this at some point. I will put a link in the description to an interesting video by Sander Katz. There's a fermentation series on this YouTube channel that may interest you also. So one important thing about starter is that more is not better. Sander uses only 1 teaspoon per quart. I have mostly read to use 1 tablespoon per quart. I'm making slightly less than a quart and will use 1 tablespoon of the yogurt starter. If you use too much, you'll end up with thin and soupy yogurt. So I take the yogurt starter out of the fridge to come to room temperature. I probably shouldn't do any experiments when I'm doing a video, but I am using a starter that I've never used before. I'm using brown cow yogurt. I've usually used Fage, whole milk yogurt, but this happened to be what the store had, so I'm going to try it. So the other thing you need is a wide mouth thermos. Using the thermos is what makes this method so easy. You need an insulated food jar that can keep the milk around 100 to 110 degrees for about 8 hours. I bought a 24-ounce Thermos brand Icon food jar, and it works very well. I'll put a picture of it in here. This is enough yogurt for us for about 1 to 2 weeks. If you need a lot more, you may need to find an alternative container or an alternative method. And then I have a tablespoon there for my tablespoon of starter. If you want a flavored or a sweetened yogurt, don't try to make it that way. Just flavor it after it's done. Okay, so now we're going to heat the milk. First, I just pour milk into the thermos and then pour it into the pan. A given amount of milk will make an equal volume of yogurt apart from the milk that evaporates. So here's my thermos. And let me just open my milk. I'm using 2%. I think you can use any kind you want. And then I'm just going to pour it into the pan. So then I'm going to rinse this thermos out, and I will put some warm water in it from the tap just to keep it warm inside. Not hot. I'll pour this out when we cool the milk. So I'm going to turn the burner on to a low setting. And then I'm just going to let it heat. and we're going to bring it to 180 degrees. So I think that'll take about 15 minutes or so at a slow heat. So we're going to heat it right now, and once the milk reaches 180 degrees, you want to leave it at 180 degrees or thereabouts for about 10 to 20 minutes. I usually do about 15 minutes. And this does two things that help make a thicker yogurt. It denatures the protein, and then there's also a little evaporation of the liquid. My stove is a bit hard to control at this temperature, and it sometimes goes to 190 degrees, which doesn't seem to be a problem. So I'm going to pause now while this yogurt heats. I just put it in. It's about 9:15, and we'll see how long it takes to get to about 180 degrees. So I think we're just about at 180 degrees. It's been a little bit less than 15 minutes. Let me just put the thermometer in there. Yep, so we're at 180. I'm turning the heat all the way down to low because, as I said, my stove will go too high. And now I'm going to set a timer and leave this here for 15 minutes, if I can, at 180 degrees. I don't know if you can see, here, let me see if I can catch it. There's a little skin on there. You can see that. I just stir it back in. FYI, you can do what you want, but I've started just stirring it back in. Oops. Okay, so the milk heated for 15 minutes, and now we're going to cool the milk. So this is a time you really don't want distractions, since you need to mix the starter with the milk at just the right time. So pay attention when you're cooling the milk. So I put a little cold water in the bottom of the sink to cool the milk a bit faster. You don't have to do this, and you actually have to watch it more closely as it cools faster. I'm going to talk through this before I do any of it because you got to move fast. So what I'm doing right now is cooling the milk to 115 degrees, which is a temperature where the little yogurt bacteria can do their yogurt making thing. I'll dump the warm water out of the thermos and put 1 tablespoon of yogurt starter in it, or what I'm going to do is put it in a measuring cup and then mix it in the measuring cup with some of the milk. I saw Sander Katz put it in the container he was going to put the yogurt in, but I'm not going to do that right now. So once the milk reaches about 125 degrees, I take it out of the cool water as it will start to cool very quickly. At that point, the pan will be cool enough that I can leave the thermometer in the pan and not melt the plastic. I'll stir it a bit to even out the temperature throughout. As soon as the milk reaches 115 degrees, I'll scoop out about 1/2 cup of milk into the measuring cup with the starter and stir it really well. I'll then pour that into the pan of milk and stir that very well. Then you pour the milk into the thermos. Make sure you dump any warm water that's in there first and close it tightly. And again, I try to do this as quickly as I can. So here is my starter. So what I'm going to do is, let's see here. I'm going to take a tablespoon, can you see that, of the starter. Stick it in there. That's all you need. And then you can use that other yogurt for something else. So there we go. I'm going to pause it now while the milk is cooling. I just have the powdered starter out there as a prop in case you end up using that. And then I think you just use one of the sachets. So my milk now, it's really only taken about 5-6 minutes for it to reach about 120 degrees. I'm going to get it out of there, and I'm going to make sure that my thermos has warm water in it. I'm going to dump that water. I don't want to make a mistake of having it in there when I put the milk in. And now I'm going to get this out of the sink because now it's going to start cooling very quickly. So I'm going to take it out of the cool water and just put it on the sink. So the milk is cooling. It's at 119 degrees. My thermos, I dumped out, got rid of the cool water. My thermos is sitting in the sink in case I spill any when I'm pouring it into there. I've got my starter here. I have a measuring cup that I'm just going to use as a scoop to put some milk in to mix it. Oh, my thermometer just went off. Let me turn it back on. It's 119 degrees, so I'm going to watch this very carefully now. As soon as it hits 116, I'll turn the video back on, and I'm just going to go fast then. All right, it's at 116. You can actually see the tenths or the whatever of it going down. And so I'll probably, as soon as it hits 115.8 or whatever, that's when I scoop. So it's 116.2. Now it's at 115.9. So I might check it in a couple other areas. Still at 116 here. I'm just going to wait a sec. Okay, now it's at 115 pretty much everywhere. So now I'm going to work quickly. I'm going to take about, this is a 1/4 cup measure. It's not really that crucial how much you use. I'm going to use about 1/2 cup there. And then I'm going to mix it up really well. I'm just using the spoon that I had in the container of yogurt. Just going to stir that up really well so it's all mixed up. And then, quickly, I'm going to pour that into this yogurt, into this milk rather, and then I'm going to make sure that's all stirred up well. And at this point, I'm not going to bother checking the temperature. I just want to do this quickly so it stays as close to 100 and somewhere between, when we put it in the thermos, it, is around 100 to 110. Because the temperature is continuing to go down now. So I think that's stirred in pretty well. And now I'm just gonna, let's see, put that down a little bit, pour it into the thermos. And there's only a little bit less milk than when we put it in the pan from evaporation. And then I'm going to get this on. Make sure it's on correctly and on tight. And this is just a cup, but I'll put that in there too. Can't hurt. All right, I'm going to pause for a moment here. So here's the beauty of this method. We're incubating now. And this is the best part. You just set it somewhere and forget about it for 8 hours. I've sometimes put the thermos inside of a cooler for extra insulation and sometimes just leave it like this, as you see. I might in the winter, I would do something like, I might, wrap this in a towel, something like that, and stick it in this little cooler and put the top on. It gives a little extra insulation, but I haven't found I really need that, and it's summer right now, so I'm not going to actually bother with that. Well, I can't get it out right now. Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to leave this. So let's see. Let me grab my script here. Okay. It turns out both ways. So you can incubate the yogurt longer or shorter. Let's put it back there. A longer incubation will make the yogurt a little more sour and will also have less lactose for people who are lactose intolerant. So I'm going to leave this yogurt for a few hours. We'll check it about halfway through, see what it looks like, and then again after it's done. So we're at about 4 hours now that the yogurt's been incubating, so we're just going to check it. Let's see what it's like. You don't have to do this. It's unnecessary, but... I don't know if you can tell, but it is thickening up already. So it's already yogurt. And I'm just going to check the temp and see what that's at. Great. 107 degrees, 108 degrees. Really perfect. Just perfect for yogurt. So I'm just going to cover this up again. I'm going to let it go another 3 to 4 hours. And then we will get to the refrigerating part. So we are just about at 8 hours that this yogurt has been incubating. So I'm just going to open it right now. I'm getting ready to refrigerate. So let me grab my script. So you refrigerate the yogurt to stop the incubation. That's what we're going to do. So I'm going to just open this right now. It's been a little under 8 hours. And let's see if you can see the yogurt. Oh, there it is. So it's pretty thick. There's whey in there. The whey doesn't bother me. I just mix it back in. I'm not really interested in Greek yogurt. I like thick yogurt, but I don't care about Greek yogurt. So let's see. We're at 104, 105 degrees. Great. This could incubate longer if you wanted, but I'm done incubating. Now, one thing about this container is the first time I made this yogurt in the thermos, I put the whole thermos in with the top on, assuming that it would cool down even through the insulated thermos. Well, when I opened it in the morning, it was still a little bit warm. So if you're going to cool in the thermos, either, you can take the top off, and you could probably just put this top on, the little cup, and then put it in. Alternatively, which is what I'm going to do, because we don't actually like serving the yogurt from this container, I'm going to move it into these two glass jars. So there it is. This yogurt is actually a little thinner than I like, generally. I don't know if it's because of using the brown cow versus the 5-starter, but it's fine. It tastes good. And I'm going to put it in the fridge, and then I'll get a little video of it as it comes out of the refrigerator. So we'll see what it's like after it cools down a bit. So it's morning, and here is the yogurt. And if I tip it, you can see it's not totally still, so it is a little thinner than I like. And so making yogurt is kind of all about experimentation, so I'm not sure. I might have been able to leave it to incubate longer or use a different starter. But anyway, I'm going to open it up. And that's what it looks like now. There's no whey sitting on top. It's a little thin, but here, but it's pretty thick. I'm going to give it a taste. It's good. So there you go. Have fun, do some experimenting, and the whole process really, apart from the incubation and the refrigeration, takes about an hour. So enjoy.